evening. Welcome to Urban Facts. Had to fix my camera there. So, welcome to Urban Facts, the special edition. This is Saturday, 6 o'clock, and our topic for today is the following: the smell of poverty. I know you're probably saying, and what exactly does that smell like? Excuse me. Before we get into it, I want to thank the people that have supported the foundation throughout the years, since we started, either financially or, with advice and things of that nature. I'm very appreciative of that and you. So let's get into it. The smell of poverty. Now, before we get into that, let's look at what poverty is, the definition. Well, no, let's just get into the smell. Let's get into that part. So, don't y'all be trying to attack me or nothing like that. Then. That ain't what that smell like. Y'all know darn well I researched this and all that. So, I ain't about to tell y'all something that ain't true. So, let's find it. Just a warning, some of this is a little graphic. So here's the smell. So the smell of poverty, rotting animal flesh. I know some of y'all already saying that's extreme. Ain't nobody got no rotten animals in their house. If you got some dead rats in your house, then that's a rotting animal. Roaches or roach spray, or a combination of both. Cheap pine oil, cooking oil. Cooking oil would be if you fried food last night, you still smell it, you more likely cooking with dirty cooking oil. Or, not dirty, but, dirty. So it's when you keep putting it in the, the mayonnaise container, the jar, and you keep repeatedly using it over again, that's going to leave a smell. Funk. You don't know what funk is. It's an odor that people or animals generate from excessive work, not bathing, things of that nature. Cigarettes and marijuana. Now, you may say that I've been in homes and these people don't live in poverty, but those odors are in their house. Then they have the mentality of poverty. So either they had to experience it to live at this lifestyle. So they had to experience it, their financial situation became better, and then they just moved to a different neighborhood. They didn't move from the mentality of poverty. So their mind is still there, but physically they went to a different neighborhood. So they might be in Drexel Hill or whatever like that day. So now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to offend nobody, because I come from poverty. All that stuff that you just seen me list, let me put that back up there. Rotting animal flesh. In the projects where I came from, we had rats. Roaches and roach spray. Project where I came from, we had that too. Cheap pine oil. Well, my mom didn't buy cheap pine oil, so you could just smell pine oil. Old cooking oil, we had that. Funk, we washed, so we ain't really had that. Cigarettes, marijuana. Now, don't get me wrong again. If you have these things, that doesn't necessarily. I'm not saying that you need all of that list to qualify for the smell. It's a combination of all of them, or it could be, plus or minus, or whatever like that. But the smell is distinct. So let's go to the next slide. So now let's see what the United States says, or United Nations says about poverty. So poverty. The United States observes that worldwide, frequently poverty is defined in either relative or absolute terms. Absolute poverty measures poverty in relation to the amount of money necessary to meet the basic needs such as food, clothing, and shelter. It could be other things too, like electronics. Your son might not have the latest iPhone, might not have iPhone at all. The kid might not have the latest video game console, so on and so forth. Relative poverty defines poverty in relation to the economic status of other members of society. People who are poor, pay attention to that, if they fall below prevailing standards of living in a given social context. So let's look at what all that means. We're going to look at the given social context of it. So let's see. So here we go. So now, if you guys can see that there, let me hold on. Now I'm lost. Sorry. I'm lost on my own podcast. Oh, there you go. So there you go right there. Excuse me. So now, persons and family household. So it's the poverty guidelines. Now this is coming from the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Planning and Evaluations. So this is the guidelines since 2021. So they haven't pretty much changed since then. So if you are one person and you make $12,880 a year, not a month, this is a year, you're in poverty, according to the economic standard. Now, you can economically be in poverty, but not be associated with the smell that we're referring to today. This is a different type. This is, according to the definition, I'm sorry. This is relative poverty. And you can look at the guidelines. 2 people household, 17,420. 3 people household, 21,960. See, this is very interesting because for some folks, if you have less, if you say you just have a high school diploma and you just got a job at the post office, so you're a clerk, so you may make anywhere between these 2 figures right here. So you may make anywhere around those 2. You know what I mean? So you got 3 kids. You're not living in poverty, but you struggling. Like you barely making it. See the difference in those numbers? It's like a $4,000, 3,000 some odd number difference or whatever like that there. Now, here's the scary part. People actually do have themselves and then 5 other kids. Let's just jump up to here to number 5. I mean, the household of 5. So you had the mom, the boyfriend, and 3 kids. I just say, unfortunately, the boyfriend is the video game guru. So he don't even really work. He on the sofa all day, you know, playing Call of Duty while you out, you know, slicing meat at McDonald's, Acme or whatever like that day. So let's get off of that. So that's just relative poverty in regards to what society says in that, you know, that website. So now let's go back to our information. So, all right, so we got the definition there. So we know what poverty is. So let's look at the next thing. So now that we know what poverty is, now this may be, you might say this is kind of dumb. Let's look at smell. We want to know what smell is. And I'm gonna say, if you know me, I don't say anything that I don't know what it is. Being as though the field that I work in, and I'm, my career goal, my job is very dependent upon me knowing what I'm talking about. So let's look at smell. Smell is the sensory experience that results from stimulation of receptors in the olfactory I just said it earlier today. That word right there of the nose by airborne molecules is epithelium. So the airborne molecules, let's get to a molecule. So this is a molecule right here. So a molecule, a group of two or more atoms that form the smallest identifiable unit in which pure substance can be divided and still retain the composition and chemical properties of the substance. So basically, that's just saying that you can't smell it. I mean, you can't see it, but due to its environment, it'll still, hold together. So that's why when, you may leave somebody's house and they got an odor, or say you in the car with somebody and they was smoking and you leave and then you smell like cigarettes, that's because the molecules are on you. So then you have to, do something to get rid of those. So why am I talking about this? The reason why I'm talking about this is because some people's environment have this smell. Unfortunately, if you live in the inner city, it's more prominent than it is in other parts of the city. So notice I said it's more prominent in the inner city. I didn't say it's only in the inner city. That would be a stereotype. You can live in Drexel Hill and you can have that smell. I'm pretty sure some of y'all got friends or family or whoever, they live in Drexel Hill or Yale or whatever, and they smoke weed and they smoke cigarettes and they got the old grease and they got roaches. That don't mean that poverty, the smell of it, is just in the inner city. But like I said, it's a mentality. So you can actually live in the projects, get a good job, say you done became the lead carrier at the post office. So now you can afford a property out Chestnut Hill. But your mentality of poverty hasn't changed. So just like your little small apartment was dirty and unkept in Passion projects, when you move to Drexel Hill, your big house is going to be the same way. Because you physically moved out of poverty, you mentally didn't leave. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how people are in this situation and their mentality has been so defeated or they're under depression. Because living in a state of poverty to that degree, to where as though you create this smell, the person could be suffering from a mental disorder, substance abuse disorder, alcohol abuse disorder. It's a lot of factors to play into that. Or they could be just nasty. So that's true too. So let's move to the next one. So that's a molecule. Let's see. Oh, that's a Maya. So this is a molecule. See how? Hold on, you can't see that. Only I can see that. Sorry, let me get it together. So this is a molecule right there. So that structure right there is so small that you wouldn't even be able to see it. And imagine a million of those connected to your body from just the interaction of anything. Like if you hug your girlfriend and she got on perfume, the molecules from the perfume is going to transfer from her body to yours. Just like I said with the smell of poverty. When you go in somebody's house and they have that smell, the molecule is going to stick to you. When you leave out, bam, is on you. And you can tell. You can tell when somebody is leaving from that environment. So now, if you do smell somebody that has, you do encounter somebody that has that smell, don't just assume that they living in poverty. They may, fit all the characteristics, the style of dress, the neighborhood that you're seeing them in. That don't mean they living in poverty. Or they, live in a house. Well, if you live in a household that has that smell, then you live in poverty. So, unless you in, Chestnut Hill. so, now, here's the question: how can we get rid of this smell? To get rid of this smell, and at the bottom of these notes is websites, so you can, confirm what I'm saying. So how to destroy a molecule? To destroy the smell, you have to get rid of the molecule. So compounds can be broken down using heat or electrical energy. The energy causes a chemical reaction that breaks down the atom's compounds. So that's just basically just washing. You clean, you clean the area and things like that, and a thorough cleaning, and then you'll get rid of that smell. But the smell had to come from somewhere. So it ain't like you just decided to create this smell. So let me just give you an example of what this smell is. So if you've ever experienced somebody preparing chitlins before they cooked, hold on to that smell, combine that with cigarettes, combine that with marijuana, combine that with funk. If you ever had, you got a relative or somebody, a friend of somebody, and their feet stink real bad, so you're going to combine that with that. Then you're going to also Then you're going to also combine that with the smell of the oil. Like, this is a literal smell. So it's not like this isn't a phrase that I'm using. It's a literal smell that, the people have. And if you in a, if you live in a clean lifestyle, environment, then you won't really be familiar to this. You know what I mean? So everybody that lives in poverty won't have this particular smell. Now, just because you live in poverty, that doesn't necessarily mean, like I said earlier, that you'll have the smell of poverty. Now, to have this unique smell, it's normally like a reason why. Like I said, you could be inebriated, some type of abuse, substance, alcohol, could be depression, could be a mental disorder. You could be disabled, and you can't really function around the house that well. So, things like cleaning dishes or cleaning up behind yourself, like that's a very serious task now. You know what I mean? So things like that, the disability could, for some people in that situation could cause that smell. So let's go back to this here. So, and if you guys have any questions, just put them on the comments. So, all right. So how can we get out of here? How can we get out of poverty? So these are some of the ways to get out of poverty. Let's go back to this. So education. Education is very key. Having a good education can definitely help you to get out of poverty. So if you just have the minimum basic needs for your education, then you might want to consider advancing that. And then it'll bring about more, a better income for yourself. So financial literacy. Say you got the education, but you horrible financially. You blow through your paycheck every day. You really, you're not on top of your bills, things like that. Employment, getting a job, that definitely can help you to get out of poverty. Now, you may say, well, I am working. Well, your job may not be substantial enough for you to get up out of poverty. You can't work part-time at McDonald's and think that your life is going to flourish. That's not going to work like that. Community and government resources. In Pennsylvania, that's normally like the SNAP program. It's other programs like the YMCA, UNICEF, things like that. They help people that's in bad financial situations, poverty, things of that nature. So you can contact your local, your local congressperson to help you find ways of that, or your local CDC. Service connections, that would be like I just said, like the CDC. No, that's not CDC. I'm sorry. Like PICA. So if you're in poverty, you can call and get on the CAP program. You just have to have, proof of income or proof that you don't have no income. You call all your utility bills. You need to be on a low income budget. They'll help you out with that. There's other programs out there, services that'll provide oil, heat, like they got the LIHEAP program. That's a service that you can use. Now, I'm not naming these services so you can survive in poverty. This is ways to get out. So I'm not saying this so you can survive in it. And then the tax credits, that's early, like the early child, like the child tax credit that you would get when you file your taxes. And throughout the years, that's known not to work for some people, because if you're not good financially with money, you're going to just burn right through that. So that's not going to really make a difference. So again, why am I talking about this? Because you want to get out of it. I want to see you get out of this situation. You can't be in a situation to where as though you're comfortable in this environment and it's bad. So you can't be in a bad situation and you want to stay in this bad environment. So let's just picture what all this looks like. So I'm gonna try my best to try to find you a picture of this here. So one second. All right. I should have tried to find that before. All right, here goes something right here. All right. Oh, yeah. Hopefully I can pull this image up. So let's see. Again, I'm lost on this thing here. So let's check it out. All right, but there you go. So your house will have to look like this to generate this smell. You see how everything is just laying around the floor? Like it's clutter and debris everywhere. Let me see if I can kind of blow this up a little bit. Okay. It looked like it's two beds next to each other. The trash can over here is overflowing. It looked like it's some type of food container right there. It's a trash bag on the doorknob right there. It's things underneath the bed. You know, if you in this type of situation, then this might be, that's definitely the smell of poverty. Now, can you be in that situation and not have that smell? I doubt that very seriously. Probably, the only way that would happen is if you generated this within a couple of days or a day, and then the process of that would have to come about, like, you know, the odor, the roaches coming about, and things like that there. But if you live in that type of lifestyle, and then here's the thing, I know people that have lived like that. And no, you ain't got to be from the projects to live in that type of manner. Because I lived in the projects and I didn't live in that type of manner. So it's a mental type of thing. And it could be, you know, like a mental illness where you might be suffering from depression. You might have a mental disorder. You know, you might not be able to, you know, function for yourself, you know, as a person. So you have to try to get help if it is a mental disorder, so you can have a more productive life. This is why education is important. Now, if you unfortunately, if you have a mental disorder, this is where parenting comes in again. It's up to your parents to, now this is when you're a kid, like as soon as like the parents find out that, you know, little Johnny got a mental intellectual disability, they should start trying to set up procedures for you in the future, or you should start setting procedures for your child in the future. Now, how can you do that if you living in poverty? It's going to be rough. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to like say that you can wave some magic wand and then everything going to be fine, because that'd be a lie. If you have an abundant, you know, you got 4 more kids and you live in poverty, then it's going to be a struggle, but you can do it. See, it's just going to take time. So you have 4 kids, so it would just take a little bit longer than the person with 1 kid. But the first thing that you and the one thing that you and the person with 1 kid has in mind is that the mentality. You can have 1,000,000 kids and still have the mentality to get out of poverty. Same thing if you by yourself. You gotta have the mentality to get out. And you know what? You see the person behind me right here? That's Michael Jackson. You can't see. Michael Jackson came from poverty. But see, his dad, Joe, said, you know what? We're not going to stay like that. We're going to come up out of this and make something out of ourselves. Now, his technique of doing that, I don't agree with that, but you know how he treated the kids. But his behavior doing that technique, I didn't agree with that. But the technique was awesome. You know, if he went about it the right way. So he took, and in that household, it was, let me see, Michael, Jermaine, Jackie, Marlon, Tito, Ruby, Latoya, Janet, and Reby. That's 9 kids. Let's go back to this thing right here. And yeah, I love Michael Jackson. That's the only way I know they got 9 kids. So let's look at that. So, and if I'm not mistaken, Catherine was, I think she worked at a grocery store, if I'm not mistaken. and Joe worked at a coal mine. So let's see, coal mine. Let's see, grocery store annual pay. Grocery store annual pay, depending on what it is. So it's like $16 an hour. Alexa, what's $16 an hour annually?
From salaryhourly.com. $16 per hour is about $33,280 a year.
So that's $33,200 a year. So Joe, I said he was working in, well, actually, that's even cheap. That's lower than that, because that was back in the 50s. So we're going to just go off of this chart right here. So what we looking at? So if you look down here at the bottom where it says eight people in a household, and then that's 44,000. So that number for them would jump up to 11, because I said they got 9 kids, and then it was Catherine and Joe, and then with the 11, let's just say that this 44,000 was that combined total income. So I'm just trying to prove that they live in an apartment. That's all. I ain't about to make this into a math subject. So you just have to, it's a mental thing. So you have to be willing to want to get out of it. That's why some people have case managers. The case managers come over and say, well, hey, we're going to help you. We'll help you get rid of these roaches. We're going to help you with your disabilities. We're going to help you get some food. We're going to help you in school. We're going to help you get a job. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. Whatever you need help in, the case managers is there to do that. But you just have to be willing, to be in that bracket. So, I mean, you got to be willing to take the help is what I'm trying to say. So you got to be willing to take the help. So, now I know some of you guys are saying, well, that's far better, easier said than done. You're absolutely right. It is easier said than done, because everybody won't be able to do this. And unfortunately, this will probably be their lifestyle. But you have to want to be able to do it. That's why I said you have to want to be able to do it. You can't do it for just the kids, or do it because they said it at the church, or do it because you watch this podcast and I don't want to have to smell the poverty or whatever like that. Like, no, do it because you want to. Because like I just said, you can get a good job. You can get hired at the VA. It could just be you. It could just be you. You get hired at the post office. The post office start off single person. You're a clerk. It might be like close to 40,000. If it's just you, you're already out of poverty. So now you're getting the 40,000. Say you move to Mount Airy. But if you ain't get rid of the mentality of poverty, you still gonna have that smell. Your house still gonna look a wreck. Now, don't get offended. I'm not trying to offend nobody. I'm just trying to help some people. Because everything you do has to be a mental motivation for you. You can't do it if you feel as though you're doing it. If you're doing it for somebody else, you might as well stop. You have to do it for, you can't even do it for God. You got to do it for you. Now I know you're saying, well, why wouldn't you want to do it for God? What if you stop believing in God? Then that's going too. You have to do it for you, because you're going to be with you forever till you go. And even when you go, you're still going to be with you. So you got to do it for you. And I'm not trying to say that I don't believe in it. I ain't saying all that. So don't watch this and then say, he said he don't believe in God. I ain't saying that. So it has to be a mental process where you want to get out of this. So here's how the education is key. This is how this can build up to that. So some people believe that children after high school can do, they opening the door to the world, which they are, and then they can make their own decisions, which they can. So some of y'all may agree, some of you may not agree. But these kids need the help of the parents. Now you might be saying, well, how, if I'm living in poverty, we struggling and we got this smell, and how am I supposed to help them? That's where the motivation comes from. You have to be motivated to get yourself out this hole. Because if you don't, you're going to just stay in the hole. And you know what? You can be in this hole. Your family could be in poverty for generations and not even know it. If you have a child, say like you have a child that was born in the 60s or 70s, let's just say that, and y'all was born in projects, and y'all live, poverty, stuff all over the place, weed, smoke, dead flesh from animals, smell, all that, the smell and everything. This child grows up, they have kids, their kids have kids. The child that was born in the 70s now a senior citizen. The kids of their kids is going to think that the environment that they're in is normal unless they're shown otherwise. So that's how that can happen, because it happened to me. I grew up in Tasker Projects. I ain't know nothing about no kind of economical situation, how much money Bonnie was making or nothing like that. I just knew that we lived in the projects. My dad was locked up and I was going to school. And then that's how it was. It was so bad for me that I started playing with roaches in the projects, because that's just where I was at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was the creativity or I was just plain nasty, but that's just what was happening. Now that's really nothing. You just, little boys play with bugs, whatever like that. It was just extreme. But for other kids, it's worse. Could have a baby playing with feces. Could have a baby playing with the dead mouse. That's how you get the mouse odor in there. Could have a baby eating the cigarettes, the butts, because that's how you get the smell. Crack smoke also in there too. Baby, find your little drugs, eat the crack whole. Now you're 2-year-old addicted to crack. That's possible. You say, well, how that's possible? They just ate it. You gotta smoke crack to be addicted to it. Smoking crack is just another way of inhaling it. Intaking it. As long as you intake it, your body is still going to absorb it, and it's going to have some type of effect to your brain. That's where the addiction comes from. So, but if you know that you need help, you have to ask. Living in poverty is like being in a hole. If you don't ask to get out, nobody's going to know, except for the people that's in the hole with you. Let me say that again. Living in poverty is like being in a hole. And if you don't ask for help, nobody's going to know you're in the hole, except for the people that's in the hole with you. That's it. You got to crawl and grab and claw and grab. And then here's another thing. The people inside of the hole, so the other people inside of this situation of poverty can help you get out. Where do you think all these Chinese restaurants coming from? These people ain't come to America because they was killing it in China. They was doing bad. Well, let's just walk that back a little bit. The first generation of people that was doing bad. Because once they got over here, did good. Then they say, hey, y'all come over here. We got a maid over here. We got like 10 Chinese stores, driving luxury cars. Y'all come over here. Y'all ain't got to eat rice every day. I ain't trying to be racist. That's the first thing that came to my mind. So forgive me if you was offended. Don't write no letter on me. So you have to have a mentality. If you got people coming from different countries to get out of poverty and become successful, then that's the type of mentality you got to have. Now, here's the thing. Them people coming from different countries, they might not have the smell of poverty. They might just be relative in poverty. The economical sense of it. They're not in absolute poverty. Where they need food, they need shelter. Some of them may not be. But even with that, you can still not have that smell. And this podcast ain't about smelling like poverty. It's about poverty. You want to get out of it. But sometimes it can get so bad, you can smell it. So, you say you are what you eat. You smell what you are also. You can also be that. If you're a pothead, you smell like a pothead. If you're a smoker, you smell like a smoker. If you're a drinker or alcoholic, you smell like an alcoholic. If you somebody that cut grass all day, it's on you. Work at a restaurant, you smell according to what you're in. That odor can be on you. And sometimes it's a bad smell, sometimes it's a good smell. So let's get back to how to get out of this. We got to get out of this here. So hold on. So you might want to say, well, why do I want to get out of this? So I know some people, this is absolutely fine with being in poverty. And that's absolutely true. And there's some people that's absolutely fine with being in poverty. But this is why you should get out of it, because nobody should live like that. If you live like this, you either real nasty or you live in poverty. But if you living like this, it's a reason why. Because you can live in poverty and still not live like that. So let me just correct what I said. You can live in poverty and not live like that. So it's a reason why that we know you now at this point in life. So let's get over here. So how can people get out of here? So I just went over this. I'm going to go over it one more time. Education. Education is key. If you want to get out of poverty, you definitely need some type of education. More than a high school diploma. Tell you the truth, more than a bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree will get you out. It depends on, what field to study you in. If you get a bachelor's degree in engineering, then, you probably set. You get a bachelor's degree in flute, to be a flute player, then you might not be that great. Financial literacy. You have to know how to pay your bills. You got to know that if you got $100 in the bank, you can't go buy the new Jordans. You can't even afford the new Jordans. You still try and buy them. You can't do that. You got to live within your means. Employment. If you got a family of 4 and y'all in poverty and those 4 are grown-ups, everybody need to be working. Because like I said, the people in the hole have to help you get out because they the ones that know that you in poverty. Community and government resources. You can use these resources to help you get out, not to stay in. Don't collect welfare so you can live comfortably at the projects. That is not what I'm saying. Service connections. They got the CAP program, low income program, utilities, PECO, gas works. the water company, and this ain't just in Pennsylvania, it's all across the world. Well, United States. You just have to find out how to get those resources. The tax credit. If you are working and you the person that got 5 kids and you in poverty, you work at McDonald's, you're going to get a lot of money back from taxes. But here's the thing. Don't spend your money and go buy the biggest damn TV they got at Best Buy. That's dumb. Because having a 70-inch TV hanging up on your wall ain't going to get you out of poverty. You can look at TV shows of other people that's out of poverty, but it's not going to get you out of it. So that's dumb if you do that. And yes, I said that. You in poverty. I just the other day, I was doing Uber. Well, this ain't even got nothing to do with Uber, but it's people that live in the projects. Now, I got a cell phone. This is my cell phone right here. I don't even know what this is. This is the Galaxy S10. I don't know if you can see that. So let's ask Alexa a question. Alexa, what year did the Galaxy S10 release?
The Samsung Galaxy S10 was released in 2019.
All right, so 2019. So this phone is hold on 1 second, please. This phone is 6 years old. Now, I don't really necessarily have the need to buy the latest phone. Like, I don't really care. I don't even know what the latest whatever this thing is. Alexa, what's the latest Samsung Galaxy?
The top result is Samsung Galaxy A15, 128 gigabytes, 6 gigabytes RAM, dual SIM, factory unlocked.
Alexa,
GSM.
stop. I don't even know what that is. The A15. Apparently, I'm back a lot. So, but I don't care about that. It's people living in poverty, and they have the latest iPhone. You want to know why? I'm gonna tell you right now. This one thing right here, tax credits. People living in poverty, they'll get their taxes. They're going to get a lot of money back. People in poverty, when they get their income taxes done, whoever do them, sometimes they'll have somebody slick doing them and, boost their money up. Some people get back like $10,000, depending on how much money they, how many kids they got, who did the taxes, whatever. I'm telling on y'all. So they'll buy a car. They'll buy all the luxury clothing, Polo. I don't even know the name of the other stuff. Louis Vuitton, so-and-so. They'll go buy the little Barcelones, the sneakers or whatever, Balenciagas or whatever like that there. Steve Madden's, the new iPhone, and be broke in a month. $10,000, just like that. You want to know why? Because they don't have the mentality to get out. You have to have the mentality to get out of this. It's not a comfortability thing. You have to want to get out of it. Because when you get your little tax money, or you're walking around with the new iPhone and you look like $1 million, and you going back home to, hold on, let me see here. Going back home to that, you walking around, you got Steve Madden's on, the polo outfit, the new iPhone, your kids got a PlayStation 5, and they sitting there in this corner playing it because you ain't got no room for them. You can't have all that stuff some people have all that stuff and go back to this. And at this point, it's now a mental disorder because you don't know that that's not right. It's not depressed. You're not depressed. You just don't know no better. As a matter of fact, it ain't even a mental disorder. You just comfortable. I ain't even about to blame it on that. You're just comfortable. I remember I met this lady a couple years ago, and she said, I was explaining to her, what my foundation does. And she said, well, let me tell you this. How you going to get somebody that's getting free food, free money, free shelter, and don't have to do nothing to get up and do something? I couldn't answer. There go somebody put a comment up here. So I think this is great information, but what about those who don't have access to this platform? If you know somebody that don't have access to this platform, share the link. We don't have a lot of subscribers, so for the people that do have access to here, share the information. And then I always tell people to watch the show, or we on Facebook, YouTube. Or those who don't know they're lacking in these departments. Well, that's just because they don't know. Just like I said, I was poor and I didn't know. So you could be just conclusive to your environment. You might not even know you're poor. You might not even know you're living in poverty. You may just think that's just how it is. Like we always throw French fries in the back of the sofa. You just, because that's how everybody else doing it. Cousin Jamal doing it. My mom eat chicken and throw the bones on the floor. So that must be how it go. Until you go over somebody else's house and you see something different. So to answer that, for those who don't have, you're talking about these departments, I'm sorry. So the departments, you have to have, well, some people that live in poverty, they're going to have a social worker because they're going to need services. Now, if you don't have a social worker, you may be in this situation for a time, but if you know somebody that's living in poverty, then just spread the information. And I'm not just talking about the person to put this in the comments. You know what I mean? So this is a group effort. Yeah, we are able to, well, we can make that a process, but we can partner with DHS. Yeah, like all the questions that the young lady is putting up, these would have to be things that the person would have to do to want to get out. But see, they would have to want to get out. So they have to be motivated to be like, hey, I had enough of this. I want to get out. But if they don't want to, like she said, what about the ones that don't even know? So you could be living in this for a while until you realize that, hey, this ain't what it is. Now, here's another thing to figure out that you don't have to live like this. So in the 80s, Bill Cosby had this show called The Cosby Show. Now, when I was watching The Cosby Show, and it's going to sound crazy, it never clicked in my mind that I could be a doctor. I could be a lawyer. Now, I ain't saying you need to be a doctor or a lawyer to get out of poverty. It would help. But the other thing is that it never clicked is that somebody is living like this somewhere, and how can I get to that part? So society, TV, there's a lot of ways that you can see that you don't have to really live like this. But, you may have a mental disorder or something, intellectual disability. Some people don't care. Like I just said what the lady said. How can you get somebody to move from something where everything is free for them? They don't really care about doing that. You know what I mean? So you really have to want to be motivated to get out of this. Everything you do in life is a mental state. To stay in school, you got to be mentally prepared. To join a basketball team, you got to be mentally prepared. For me to stay on here for an hour, talk about the smell of poverty, I got to be mentally prepared. To cook Thanksgiving dinner, you gotta be mentally. It's a mental thing. To get your goals met, you have to be mentally competent to do it, or have somebody that will help you. So I hope I was able to answer those questions. So our organization really wants to help people. So if you need help, let's come down here. You can email us at this email at elzfnd@outlook.com, and I will personally, but we will send you the resources that you need to help you get out of this situation. So if you are watching this show, or like the young lady said, you'll have access to it, share this on your page. Then here's the other thing too, like people see information like this and just don't want to watch it, because that's just where their mindset is at. Some people are just that ignorant that they want to stay in poverty. And I'm not saying ignorant as a total function as a person, but they just don't know that they don't have to live like that. So ignorance is just a lack of knowledge. So they just might not have the knowledge to know that, hey, I don't have to live like this. So, that's where it comes to, people like myself, like you guys watching, departments around the city, services and things like that to help these people get out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know this was probably a sticky situation. It might have even sound judgmental, but I'm not trying to judge anybody. We're just trying to help somebody. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to help people to help them be more successful. So you guys have a wonderful evening. And like I said, I thank everybody that has given to this organization. If you do want to give, that's our Cash App, ELZFND. Your donations go towards helping children in the community. You could be helping us to help somebody in poverty, because we do feed the homeless at times. So you guys have a wonderful evening. God bless, and good night.